Hey guys, Music Culture Supply Company. We're here with another edition of our podcast that we don't really have a name for yet. I guess we're just calling it Music Culture Live, something like that. This is our discussion series. Today we're here with Bret Alexander.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, local musician here in the Sunbury, Selinsgrove, Northumberland area. And we're going to talk to him today a little bit about success as a musician and what makes a musician a professional and all those types of things as we move on. So, Bret, born and raised here. You tell us a little bit about
I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But I'm from north central Pennsylvania, a town called Canton, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
A little tiny place in Bradford County, just south of the New York border. So
Okay.
God's country.
Cool. Nice. And how old were you when you started playing music?
Probably about, probably seriously, probably 13.
Seriously, at 13?
Yeah. I'm a little bit younger than that. I actually could strum a chord, but then I got...
Gotcha.
Yeah, about then.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit here before we started recording, and Bret has had the opportunity to deal both with like doing a lot of covers and gigging as a solo artist and in duos, and he also has been in the band the Badlees, which is from this area, who gained, I would say, some moderate to higher level success in the 90s, right?
Right on.
Cool.
Yeah. Still playing.
Yeah, and still playing to this day. Just had a show last night in Jim Thorpe.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. How often do you guys play as a band?
Right now, we're pretty spread out, so maybe once a month.
Once a month?
That's a pretty good average.
And now you're kind of doing more just like local-ish or small venue gigs. You're not touring anymore or anything like
Not
that?
over the road touring, no. I mean, I play a lot personally, but, sometimes step out. But for the most part, we're kind of within like probably a 4 or 5 hour circle.
Gotcha.
At this point.
And do you think that that type of range is like what's best? Because you obviously can't play in the same town that you live in or the same town all the time. That doesn't really make any sense, right? So.
Well, you can't. Well, eventually, you can only see the same movie so many times. Yeah. So, as far as is that circle what's best?
Right. So just trying to kick off, I guess, getting into like what's best as a musician and gigging and maybe the relationship between full band original stuff and gigging cover musician. Like, is it best, do you think, to play locally in a smaller area, or is it best to try to build up into like more regional type of gigging?
Well, I have a little bit of an answer for that. Okay, so I think I'm kind of the thing about like the arts and music, and I think there's a level of it, you can look at it like, well, people here don't get it. Like we're really good, but people, and I kind of feel like you should be able to rule your hometown. Yeah. Sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes somebody can just go somewhere else and does well. But basically, I think if you're, music's pretty universal. If you're a good band, people will respond to it no matter where they are, whether it be a small market or a bigger market.
Right.
But that being said, the one thing about being from Pennsylvania is that I don't even know the percentage, but within 3 to 5 hours, you can get to a significant portion of the U.S. population. If you're from Wyoming, that's a different story. You know? So like, our case back in the day, we were centered in Selinsgrove, so we could go. We could go Baltimore, D.C., we could go New York, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh.
Even some places like Boston.
Even Boston,
and
5, 6
Chicago,
hours.
Chicago's like what, 10?
Well, that's an overnight, but I'm saying
still.
like, you could drive to Pittsburgh, play the gig, drive home. And still have a gig the next, still have a day job if you wanted.
Sure.
It would be painful, but you could do it.
Yep.
So like not everywhere's like that. So in a way, this place was kind of a good place to try to do original music from, because you could consistently hit them. And and there was all these places in between there. There was, if you're in Selinsgrove, you have Harrisburg, and then you have Allentown, you have Penn State. All these places that are in the inner circle of that.
Sure.
So we could that's what we did, is we would just go in a circle like that, which was good for a band that want to do original music and want to play cities.
Yeah. I agree 100%. We've talked about this with her original band a lot. Just, in my opinion, start small in your town, at least get a following, but build your regions like in layers. And you're right. for a band that wants to do like little mini tours, like we are in the perfect spot because you can hit a 4 to 6 week thing and hit every single major city here in the
Yeah.
New England states and beyond.
Yeah,
a little
like you
bit.
said, even Boston's doable.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that's probably the outer limit of what you could drive up and play and come home. But,
Right.
But you can totally do that. We did it.
Yeah, and there's also Cleveland and
Yeah, if you want to go out past Ohio, then
yeah.
yeah. But I mean, there's just so many decent-sized cities that you can hit from here
Yeah.
within 3 to 5 hours.
And is that what you guys did in the Badlees? Like, so was the Badlees ever a cover band, or were you always doing original stuff?
Well, by the time we got to, it was called there were bands before that, but by the time it was called the Badlees, we were kind of, that was always the goal, you know. So,
Yeah.
but it was kind of, at the beginning, we had a 4-song EP. So, you know, so we had 4 songs and whatever other songs we had written that we hadn't recorded. Then we did our first full-length record, and then every 18 months we did another album.
Right.
And we'd do like little single releases with like, you know, little 3-4 song
Yeah.
things in between there. But it was usually on like a 1.5 swing.
And this was before you got a record deal.
Oh yeah, years.
Yeah.
Record deal took about 6 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was one of the things that we had thought about talking with you, was just that you know, how the music industry's changed between like the 90s and the 80s until now, but we'll stick with the professional.
Well, I got a lot on that one.
Yeah.
Well, we could always
We
do
can-
more
we
episodes,
can
that's for sure.
Dabble in that maybe a little.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to add? Yeah.
I was curious, as an original band, what types of venues were you looking to play? Like, what places should a band that's looking to you know, get well known, what should they be playing? Where should they?
You know, there's always places around that showcase original music.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, honestly, in 2025, I don't really have my finger on the pulse of what's out there for
Sure.
somebody like a
Yeah.
punk band that's 18 or something
Yeah.
like. I mean, I know the places, some of them still. So, but I'm not an authority on what, you know. Back in the day,
Yeah, what were you doing then?
back in the day, we were doing it in regular cover clubs.
Yeah.
Cover clubs. Okay.
Yeah.
Even doing your original
Was
stuff.
it
there.
hard?
We did things like, we'd play an original song, and then in the middle of it, we'd break into some cover thing.
Okay.
Oh.
And then so everybody, if they didn't know the song, they'd wait.
So like a medley.
We did that.
yeah,
We
but
did
with
that.
your original.
Yeah.
We
Good
do
idea.
that, or just a live thing where, I mean, we still to this day do that sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like a middle of a song will break into another song.
Yeah, but that song you break into is one of your originals. And
Well, no, actually,
Break-
the original's the main song.
Oh, gotcha.
And then
we'll
you
break-
kind of break
Okay.
off.
Break
into-
off and do
yep.
something like that, and just
I've
try
done
to,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you're just trying to do,
Yeah.
you know, just little things to kind of keep
Yep.
people's interest. You know, if you're playing original music, then maybe you got 3, 4 songs, and then maybe play a cover. You know,
Yeah.
like if you got
Yeah.
like 6, 8 mid-tempo original songs in a row, people are going to start heading out.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is
that was
pacing.
your experience.
Oh yeah, oh
was-
yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it just took a little bit of, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say you were tricking people, but you know, just kind of trying to keep their
Well,
interest.
yeah. It's like writing a song. Like, you know, when you
Yeah.
write a song, you definitely want to have those influxes. Like, and you know, you
Yeah.
don't want one song to just be like droning on the whole time, unless you're
Yeah.
like a jam band or.
Well, I call that. Yeah, I mean, like the bands I work with in the studio. The word they hate to hear from me is linear. You know, the song sounds linear.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and you want the
Like dynamics.
Don't bore us. Don't
Yeah.
bore us. Get to the chorus kind of thing.
Okay.
Now, do you work with Paul in the studio over here? Or is that
Yeah.
because you've done some stuff over there as well?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I just did some backups for, you know, different
Oh,
people.
cool.
So.
Yeah.
I must have been. I wasn't there at that
You weren't
point.
there,
I
no.
don't think so.
But I got a kick out of Paul over there.
Oh, yeah?
He's a riot.
Yeah.
He's a funny man.
Yeah.
He's a humorist. I've known him for a long time.
So I have a question about, was there a defining moment where, like, you guys, like, as a band, you realize, like, hey, like, people are, like, recognizing our music. Like, they're singing along to our songs. Like, this feels good,
Like
you know?
you knew, like it was like
Yeah,
almost there,
like it
but
was
not quite
catching
yet.
on,
or-
you know?
Well, what I want to say, fairly early on, you know, you get these little, what's that one song by Jackson Browne? It's on Run On Empty. But the one line of the song is you know, it's something like you minimize the losses, you you exaggerate the winds. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
right, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's called like The Road. That's the name of the song.
Okay.
And the whole thing is you know, as things happen, you know, if you might have 5 people or something that said, "Oh my God," you know, they're standing up front singing back to you, you know, something you wrote in your living room.
Yeah.
And that's super cool. And you start thinking, okay, I'm getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. You know?
Yeah.
And then it's like by the time it actually like the business itself actually turns around and goes, okay, like it's deafening to you. You like you can't understand
Yeah.
why it hasn't happened 3 years ago. It's not like somebody walks into a bar and finds you. You know?
No,
It
doesn't
didn't
work that
happen.
way.
Oh God, I say that all the time because I think a lot of musicians think that. They're just like, oh, well, I'm going to play the show, and then like, you
Someone's
know,
gonna discover
yeah,
us.
like some record exec's going
Yeah.
to be in there and be like, you guys are amazing, and I'm like, I don't think it quite works that way.
Yeah, I went down there you know, when I was went down to Nashville once, and I was working with a young girl, you know, and it was her parents were there, and we're playing sort of like a little songwriter showcase kind of thing.
Yeah,
And she's singing, you know, and the folks are, you know, see a guy get on his cell phone, they think he's calling a record executive. You know, he's ordering a pizza or an Uber. You know?
yeah, or
Yeah.
just checking his Facebook. Or
Yeah,
something.
checking his Facebook because he's bored. You know. So it's
Right.
like there's like that, and that's yeah. I mean, by the time you're actually, you know, there's usually some sort of like, okay, screw this. You know, I mean, it's like I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
And then it'll happen.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said, how did you then define success, and how do you now define success as a musician in particular?
Well, I think a radio pro. I always use this quote. So the radio promoter said to me once, and this was when people still bought records. You know, so this was quite a few years ago. So, but he was saying, you know, hey, if you sell records, you get to keep making them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as simple as that sounds, I would rephrase that to say, if people come to see you play, you get to keep playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think as musicians get older, they're just kind of happy to be playing.
Yeah.
And if you have an audience and you take care of them and you put on good shows consistently, and it doesn't get weighed down by, you know, you're just kind
Yeah.
of going through the motions, I think you can keep an audience for decades. Once you have them, they're yours to lose
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, and they move on. You know,
Yeah, because time, you know.
I mean, yeah, I mean, in the case of somebody my age that's been doing this for so long, you know, you'll see this progression of you're in your 20s and everybody's in the clubs and all this audience gets built, and then you get you're a record deal, and then you're out, and then you're coming back home, and then there's a certain amount of like, okay, people start to get families, and then they're not out anymore.
Yeah.
So then, you know, so it's kind of like, and then they're gone, and then they get older, then their kids leave the nest, and then they have disposable income
Yeah.
and free time, and you know, and they still want to hear.
And there's not
play.
exactly like an influx of new fans coming in for that older music in some cases, right?
Well, new fans are, I mean, that I don't know. You know, I mean, a lot of ways that I don't feel like that's up to me.
Well, yeah, sure.
You know,
sure.
because I mean, if you take a song like, like a song like Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah.
Yep.
You know, there's a whole movie about the progression of that song.
Yeah.
You know, the song starts, he writes the song, label hates it. You know, doesn't want to put it out. They put it out, nothing happens. However many years go by, Jeff Buckley records it.
Yeah.
Most people my age know the Jeff Buckley
Yep,
version.
that's what I knew.
Yeah. So, and then it got a little bit of notoriety. Then there were several other versions along the way. Then eventually ends up in Shrek. Now my kids know that song.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, I mean, and that had nothing to do with Leonard Cohen's song.
Yeah. You're right.
You know, so I mean, my job is to play and write music. You know, whether I be playing a gig and I'm playing with someone else, or I'm writing songs for my band or a solo thing that I'm doing, or I'm producing, or one of those things. It's like that's what my gig is. It's like as far as like what that means to the world at large, that's not really up to me.
Right. Right. I saw this thing you said about selling records, and I was like listening to an interview or a podcast, and it said that like back in in the 90s in like Seattle, like either Alice in Chains or Soundgarden. They made their own record before they had a record deal, and they sold 40,000 records out of the back of their car. Like, just them going to shows, or like one of those, it might have been Metallica or something, but it was in like the 80s or 90s before they had a deal. And I'm like, 40,000 records? Like, just,
Dave Matthews sold over 100.
I'm like, holy
Wow.
crap, you know, like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's a hustle. That's a
Yeah.
hustle.
I mean, we were here. We probably sold 12.
Yeah, 12,000.
I mean, that would be a pretty,
Yeah.
like,
Just
as
walk-
far as physical copies, that'd be a pretty
Yeah.
big success today.
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Then that was
Yeah.
before you kind of
Before we,
you
as
got
an
out of here.
independent,
Okay.
out of our car.
Wow.
Well, I really love your
One
answer there.
guy in a.
Yeah.
I love your answer about the success thing because,
Yeah.
honestly, we ask a lot of people this because we, hang out with a lot of musicians and we talk to a lot of them, and it's always money or gigs. That's what they say. It's like, well, if you're making money, you're successful. Well, if you're playing gigs, you're successful. And I love what you said because you're like, hey, if you have fans, basically, like
Yeah.
if you have people who love and connect with your music, that's how you define that success, right?
Well, you
And-
define a success, but I mean, if you have that, then you have money.
Yeah, well,
You know, you're getting paid to play. I mean, if you can put
maybe
300
not
people in a
today.
room,
Yeah.
you're getting paid.
yeah.
You know, because nobody has a problem paying for somebody that can put 300, 400, 500 people into a
Yeah.
theater.
And that's probably a little tougher these days to do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would
But I
think.
mean, if you can do that, I mean, there's lots of bands that have done it.
When I
Out of the
started
back of
out,
their
that's all I said. That was what I said. When I started my first band, I was like, all I want to do is sell out a 300-person room. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. I'd be happy with that. Never did it, but it'd be cool.
Yeah.
But also something that both Rebecca and I have experienced is like, as people who write music and we don't have a ton of fans and like, just kind of play stuff out whenever we can. Those little wins sometimes are when one person comes up to you and they're like, hey, what was that third song you did or something? And it was an original.
Yeah, they
and-
don't recognize it.
and they're like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I've heard her play, and people come up and be like, now who wrote that song that you did? She's like, well, I wrote it.
Yeah,
like,
I knew everything you played but that.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
like kind of smaller success.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. Would you consider yourself still, to this day, under today's standards, a successful musician?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And is your definition still kind of the same, would you say?
You mean as far as what I just said about
Yeah.
Yeah.
having?
Yep.
Well, I mean, you want to try to be a successful human being too. Have kids.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, they can. I mean, I have a wife and kids, and we raised 2 daughters, and
Yeah.
I mean, and that was incredibly important, and that's musicians don't have the best track record with that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know,
So balancing family life
yeah.
with all of that is
Yeah.
part of the success as a human, as a
Yeah,
person.
yeah. I mean, and
Yeah.
and the music thing's all kind of, and I'm still putting it together. I mean, it's kind of like the whole picture of who I am as a person and the music I make, and the way I, what comes out of my voice.
Yeah.
I mean, all that kind.
Yeah.
I think there's a connection to all those things.
I like that it's deeper for you than
Oh,
just
oh,
the
wow.
surface of just the music,
Oh
It's-
yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of like a whole thing. I mean, if I had like 4 more coffees, I'd probably have a better answer.
4 more things to say.
4 more things to say. Get myself shaking.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of like a whole state of being, And I mean, working in the studio a lot, you can see that in a young guy that's starting out. You
Yeah.
can see like this guy. I mean, this guy's a lifer, or this
Yeah.
girl's a lifer.
Yeah,
You can see it,
right.
just because it's like basically they're coming from the right place. The music's good,
Yeah,
and they're decent humans, that people are going to want to help because you need that.
yeah. That's
you're gonna need
actually a
help.
really important
Yeah.
factor. Personality, it
Yeah.
seems. Yeah,
Yeah, because you're running a small. No, I would say run your band or your solo career or whatever. Run it like a mom and pop. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, talk to people when you're at a show.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Become friends with them.
Yeah.
Many of my friends. I mean, almost. Many of the musicians I play with today are guys that I did their record, back in the day, and then we crossed over into playing together.
Yeah.
And lots of fans. I mean, to this day, I still play private events for people that came to see us
Yeah.
back in the day.
Your fans become your friends.
They come, and
know?
we spend our
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we've seen that locally. You know, I'm sure, as you know, this Sunbury in general here in this area, Sunbury, Selinsgrove, and Northumberland, there's such a, it's like a, for some reason, there's like this music community here that's like not in Bloomsburg or like not in Berwick or just, it's like here for some reason there's a lot of musicians, there's a few venues that allow people to play, and it's easy, like you said, if you're playing in your town, to make your friends and build up your kind of fan base and following here first before you start like kind of ranging out a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, the people here have seen a few things be successful from here too.
Yeah.
Over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breaking Benjamin's from Selinsgrove.
Yeah,
Badlees
yeah,
were
a
from
couple of those
Selinsgrove.
guys, right?
Yeah,
well, you
those-
guys were around the same. Were
Well,
they a
they're-
little
they're-
bit after you guys?
No, they were after us.
Yeah.
Like they would have, like those guys. The lore was, they had said that they were, we had a band house in Selinsgrove, and they were like walking behind the house going to school.
Yeah,
Sometimes, and they'd stopped in when we were practicing when they were kids.
yeah. And there was a couple of
interesting.
them, right? And then a couple more were from like Wilkes-Barre,
Wilkes-Barre,
Berwick. I know.
Well, let's see. I mean, of the original four guys, I mean, Aaron's from Selinsgrove, Ben was from Selinsgrove, Jeremy's from Selinsgrove.
Okay.
So then the bass player Mark's from Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah.
Of the original.
Yeah, and then they went through a couple different like
Yeah. Yeah.
here and there. There was like that Nick Prokopchuk, I think, who had something to do with it, and then he did Lifer, maybe, but he was from Berwick. Oh no, that was they called themselves Strangers with Candy.
Yeah, Nick Coyle.
Yeah, Nick Coyle, that's right.
Yeah.
Not Prokopchuk, yeah. And then I knew a guy in Bloomsburg, Jason DeVoli,
I know Jason.
was a really, really, I was
He played
really
with that whole
young.
crew.
Yeah, and he played with those guys too.
Yeah.
That was
I know
funny
Jason.
because my friends and I were like little rappers when we were like 14, 15, 16 years old, and he was a little bit older than us. And he had an apartment with like a studio in it in Bloomsburg there, and we used to all go over there, and he would like play guitar riffs, and then we would like help us like record rap songs over and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name came up recently. I was talking with Jeremy.
Yeah.
He used to play with him. So.
Nice. Yeah, so go ahead.
So I have a question I want to ask about money. So what would you say how much of a factor is money in becoming successful? I mean, obviously, if you have money, you can afford to go and record in a studio, and and there's a lot of things that money can allow you to do. So what would you say to somebody who maybe doesn't really have much money? Like, what are some of the things that they can do to get recognized and to try to,
Go to an open mic, meet people.
yeah.
It's just sweat equity. I mean, it's just like, you get used to being up in front of people. Usually that's, friendly fire, I mean, our friendly audience,
Yeah.
I mean, they're expecting people from all levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at open mics for sure.
Yeah, all levels of skill. So, I mean, you're not going to get somebody, you go demand whatever you want to be paid at some club, and then nobody comes because you're not established.
Yeah.
Basically, just get out, and I think that the people skills of it. I mean, obviously, you have to be good,
Talent,
but you're
yeah.
not going to get good sitting at home, because like singing 4 or 5, as you know, singing 4 or 5 nights a week. You do not learn that playing in your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like,
Yeah.
okay, I can hardly speak, and I have to play for 2 hours on
Yeah.
Thursday. And
Or
Yeah.
these
Sing a
YouTube
show.
kids now can shred a guitar like you've
Yeah,
never
well-
sing, but like they don't play in front of people. And
yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I had lots of guys like that, that had great chops, but couldn't play with an ensemble.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to, don't know how to get along with people. And I just think that, I don't think that really, I mean, a recording that has, I mean, I wouldn't, this is a long story, but it's kind of like, if I wanted to get established as a musician, and I had $500 set aside, I don't think I would record. And I record people.
Okay, that's a,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't think I'd spend it on recording. If that was my last $500 or
Okay.
last $200 or last $100,
Yeah.
I would be more apt to be out into a club, meeting people, meet the musicians.
yeah.
Any opportunity to get into that, because then you get to kind of see what, as the phrase I like to use, you get to see what the real gig is.
Yeah.
I mean, the real gig is knowing what these people are listening to. What are they doing? What are they thinking about? What's the bass player thinking about? What's the drummer thinking about when he plays? How do I stay out of the way? How do I be that kind? Then you want to be a kind of person that people like and people want to help them. And sooner or later somebody's sick. Somebody needs a fill in. And you get yourself into the seat. And
So what would you spend that $500 on?
Yeah.
what would I spend it on?
Or
you-
invest.
Yeah, you have $500 dedicated to your career. What would you use it for?
What would I use it for?
Yeah.
Say, assuming you have pretty much nothing really. Maybe your
Yeah.
instrument.
Well, yeah, you have a guitar and an amp.
Yeah.
Let's say,
I could go play.
Yeah.
I'd probably spend it on gas money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good
Honestly,
answer.
that's what I would. I mean, I would spend it on gas money, and I would go play as much as I could.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe get out to those regions where there is a
Yeah.
bigger community. Get your name known. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good answer.
drive around and play in front of people, and
Yeah.
that's what I would spend it on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do. I look at it. I did a record one time. This was, pre-social media.
Yeah.
So a different world, obviously. But we had a thing where we had this record and we had a radio promoter and we were playing this gig in Indianapolis. Our band, it wasn't a Badlees, it was another band. It was a band called the Celerbirds, and we were getting all this radio play. We played an outdoor event at like a minor league baseball stadium that was packed with people. We had price and positioning in all the stores, and they'd have like BDS and SoundScan for sales and things like this, like different reporting charts that you could check to see how you did.
Yeah, the metrics.
And the metrics, and it was after we did all of that, we just kind of blitzed this area for a weekend of this big show and this record we had out. We came back and we sold some records and got a little bit of a bump, but it really wasn't all that much.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I remember talking to the radio promoter and going, well, if all of this stuff doesn't move the needle, what does? And he had to this day, I still use this, and you can input different situations into the spirit of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The spirit of what he said. Because what he said was, look, he said, if you're spending your last $1,000, if you're spending your last $1,000 on getting yourself off the ground on what you just did, don't waste your money,
Yeah.
He said, but if you want to build the brand of what you are doing, this is how it's done. You know what I mean? It's all of just the needle moving a little bit. So it's like, if you're thinking, well, okay, I got this, and I'm going to do this big blitz. Everybody does that. They do this. Okay, I'm going to go spend $10,000. I'm going to do a record, and then I'm going to put it out. And then 3 months later, the record's done. Not even that. Now online, everybody has like a attention span of a gnat.
Yeah.
So you stagger the songs out and you put them out one at a time, and that's you're not going to move the needle that way.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a different ballgame now.
So are you saying that like releasing like singles, it seems like that maybe is moving the needle a little bit at a time rather than
think it's
making a whole
moving it.
record?
Well, I think you can make a
Yeah.
whole record. I just wouldn't throw it all out at once.
Right.
And
Yeah,
the,
you
the whole
can't.
point is to be
Yeah.
able to spread it out over
Right.
months
Yes.
and kind of continually.
Yep.
And that's I always I'm older but I still do it, like creating content.
Yeah.
And things like that. I don't like the word, but
Yeah.
it's obviously valuable. It's obviously you have to do that. Nobody's going to discover you sitting at home playing.
Yep.
Blah blah blah. I agree with all of that, but but it's like if you can't sustain it for a long period of time, because it's not gonna happen in 3 months. It's like, there's been different bands that say, oh, I want to go to L.A. and I want to work with this producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have no hometown base.
Right.
And that's something you do down the line.
Right.
So,
If you're going to spend $5,000, there's
Yeah.
I want to go do one song for $5,000 with whoever.
Yeah.
Because those people are, even though they have enormous credits, are looking to fill calendar days.
Yeah.
You can work with them
Yeah.
if you pay them.
And it seems like everything that you've said so far goes back to that original statement that you said where, you need to build that fan base and like make these connections.
Sure.
And every single thing from
Yep.
your perspective goes back to that. I hear a lot of people talk about this whole content creating thing now
Sure.
with music, and it's like, well, I'm a musician. I'm not made to create content. And I have this argument where I say musicians have always been content creators.
Sure.
Just the content's
It's
changed.
just different.
It's different now. And these days, like you said, with short attention spans, people don't consume albums like we all did because we're getting up there in age
No,
too.
it's a
But
different
we-
time. Different
Yeah.
time.
I would buy albums. We'd buy albums, and I'd put the album on and listen to it as like a piece, and read through the liner notes, and and kids
the
definitely
liner
don't do
notes
that.
and all that was the content, and the flyer bands would go hang up flyers places.
Yeah, photos,
and,
your attire, your
Yep.
set. That's a thing that I get into all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's a little off topic, but I think a lot of bands and musicians have horrible sets. Like they're not curating their set to be the most
show.
appealing to their audience. It's like, they'll play a song and then they'll stop and be like, yeah, so what do you guys want to play? And it's like, in my opinion, I think you need to have your set as a performance. Now, I'm not dressing up and painting my face or anything, but like, it does need to be realizing that is your content, kind
Sure.
of, So,
Oh, I'm as I said, I'm all about, doing videos and content and
Yeah.
all the unlimited opportunities to do things and get your name out there. The podcast, that's what this is. It's a
Yeah.
yep,
podcast.
yeah.
I'm all about it. I just think that I don't think that I just a lot of these avenues, they're all tools, and one of them isn't going to move the needle. And
Right.
ultimately, once again, you put asses in the seats, you get to keep playing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
There's people who complain also about like, oh, well, I'm only getting paid X amount of dollars to play the show. And I tell everyone the same thing. And then they also say, well, the restaurant wants me, or the venue wants me to fill the seats. That's not my job. It's their job. I've heard that. And I'm like, no, that's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Now, you both should bring people because, the restaurant should have their own base and you should have their own. But I tell them right out, I say, look, what you said earlier, if you bring 5 people to a show, you're only going to get that $100. But if you can bring 50, you're going to get more. If you can bring 100, you can demand more. If you're going to bring 300 people, you can demand a little bit of more money, and that's kind of how you build.
Economics.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's in a capitalist world, that's how it works.
Sure. Basic economics.
Yeah. Right.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just don't really want to. They don't understand that, or they don't care, or they think that that's wrong, and I disagree. Yeah.
Well, no, it never really works out when somebody's just all for themselves and what they get out of it.
Sure.
Both the venue and the musician should be concerned about the other
Yeah, 100%.
person and how they're making out with the deal. It's a deal, you know.
Sure.
So
It's a
A
relationship.
lot of time a lot of times you're just playing a gig, and you just want to keep the dinner crowd there an extra hour or two.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I've said this a million times too. We talk about this all the time. Depending on the type of if you're a cover, like Rebecca does a duo where it's just cover music, just singing and guitar, and it's like it's dinner music, it's kind of dinner
background
music.
dinner music.
They're hiring you as entertainment for their patrons.
Yep.
Sure.
Now, if you're original act, you want to build that fan base,
Sure.
and maybe you want to get some new fans from the restaurant, and maybe they want to get some new patrons from your music, and
Right.
I think that's where that relationship comes in,
Yeah.
and it's a
Totally
tough
different-
one.
Totally different game, yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally different game. So, there's like, I play in like punk bands, so it's like really hard to gig. I can't gig around here ever, all original stuff. But we would drive like, 5 hours to Ohio to play a venue. But I remember one time we booked a show at West Side Bowl in Ohio, and I'm like, dude, it's like one of the greatest punk venues. And I'm like, I was so excited. I didn't care that we drove 5 hours and made $50 to like play this
$50
venue.
and a pizza to split.
Yeah, because it was the venue, and I was so excited. And that brings me back to like playing. I think when you're trying to become successful, you do sort of need to play some of the venues that are going to better connect you with the right fans, people that are going to like your music. If I play a restaurant here in town as a punk band, everybody's going to leave and I'm not going to get any fans. But if I play that punk venue, we might pick up 5 people or 10 people from that show.
Right.
You know, and that goes the same for everybody. I think.
I mean, you know, you go up to, you know, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. I mean, you know, the Menzingers came out of Wilkes-Barre,
Yeah.
Scranton.
Yep.
Title Fight came out of Kingston.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
those guys did really well.
And the Menzingers are still. I mean,
Still
they're
kicking
still
ass.
like I've heard what they get for sets, and it's like insane. So
Yeah. So, I mean, they did it. You know, they build an audience,
yeah.
great records. You know, Scranton,
Mm-hmm.
writing songs about the Turkey Hill in Scranton.
Yeah. I mean, I remember going to Tinks when I was a kid up there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I used to go to punk shows and music at CC's. You ever?
Yeah, I
ever
played
hear
there.
that? Yeah, the place was awesome, man.
Yeah,
I
that would have been that was a hub.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty iconic punk bands in there when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was just down the road from where I used to live up there. So, yeah. Music.
Yep.
So did you all do a lot of opening up for other bands?
Yeah,
You did.
and we still do some.
On the way
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, probably, and still even
Still
after.
every once in a
So
while,
that
yeah.
seems like a good
Yeah, there-
way
I mean,
to get bigger
that's,
crowds to hear you, right?
Yeah, well, what we would do, I mean, once again, you could kind of get these opening slots, not necessarily somebody national or international.
Yeah.
What we would do a lot is we would, if we got something going on here, if we had something going on here, we'd leverage with somebody out of town,
Yep.
you know, and then trade shows, let them come here and open for our audience, and then we go home from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And we did that a lot, and you know, some of those guys, you know, my age, they're still playing today. That pretty much got introduced to this area by us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so I mean,
Did you guys have an opportunity, like before you got a deal or right after you got a deal? Did you go on tour to support any other larger bands at that time? Or
we did a lot of that.
was that like, so you had to tour and like you were just support for someone else like
yeah.
in the beginning?
Yeah, lots of that
Yeah.
stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, big venues. You know, enormous. I mean, we toured with the Allman Brothers. Did shows with Page and Plant,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
and
Oh, yeah,
Bob,
that was at that
Bob
time.
Seger.
What was the Page and Plant album?
That was
then?
no,
Yield?
no Quarter.
Oh, No Quarter, yeah.
The one with the Indian Orchestra.
Yep.
Yeah, we did that.
Wow.
Yeah, like, I mean, we did a lot with, because we were kind of like in this sort of classic style, so it was, like the Allman Brothers, Greg Allman bands, the Gin Blossoms, Edwin McCain.
Yeah. And these are all bands you played with?
Yeah, all we played with, but we played with some that are, I played a gig with John Oates a few weeks ago.
Oh, really?
You know, like
Really?
Hall & Oates.
I just saw they had a falling out.
They did, yeah. But then we played. The band played with Lou Gramm of Foreigner, like at the end of the last year.
Oh, cool.
You know, and like all those kind of things. But I mean, just so many groups that we've played with over time.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty, out of our range.
Right.
You just end up on bills with these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've met a lot of musicians,
Sure.
obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm curious. You talked about just being a good human,
Yeah. Right.
and would you say the majority of people that you've worked with are good humans?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all funny. Oh, like
Yeah.
usually I can't really think of anybody that was an asshole. I mean,
Really?
most
If they were, you don't have
Wow.
to call them out.
No.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Like the Page Plant. Like Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. We didn't meet them. They didn't even sound check. They just
Yeah.
came in and played. But the Allman Brothers guys are cool.
Yeah.
They're great.
So
Man,
maybe
those
there
guys are
really is
amazing.
something to your personality and your character,
Sure.
in success,
Yeah. And it's
Not that there's never any bad eggs, but
Well, yeah, there's obviously.
Yeah.
there's a lot of really great guys that nothing
Yeah.
happens.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But
sure.
because it's not good.
Right. Yeah.
Great,
Right.
great. There's a lot of great humans that nothing happens because there's nothing
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really talented, unreliable people.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
in history we've seen tons of rock musicians that maybe aren't the greatest people, and they do achieve some type of quote unquote success, only for it to like implode and fall apart, maybe because they're not great people.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's some people who aren't great people that have
Yeah.
experienced
Sure.
longevity,
It's always
but
going to happen here and there.
but you think
Yeah.
the overwhelming majority are good people that are doing the right things and just being great people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember once I saw this, it was Billy Corgan was saying, basically, if these labels could figure out how to do what I do without me, they would.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean? And he's a bit of a prick. But,
He is a bit of,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? But that was his whole point. Is like they don't want to deal with somebody like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there is something to that. But if you have two things and one person's easy to work with and one's not, sometimes when you're coming up, there's just these tiny little pockets and opportunities that come along, and it really just kind of comes up to who do they call? They have five
Yeah.
people they
True.
could call.
Yeah.
True.
For that opportunity, and they're going to call somebody that, I don't like this. I always say this saying, I don't like the saying, oh, it's business and not personal. It's like everything's personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All things, like all things being equal, your family screws up, you're going to give them a lot more rope, than you
Yeah.
are just some dude off the street that's trying to get your
Right.
attention,
Right.
or your friends,
Yep.
and everything is personal.
That's
At
I
least it should
really
be.
do believe
I mean,
Yeah.
on some level, it's personal.
I actually
On some
never
level.
thought of
Right,
it like
right.
that
Yeah.
either until right now. But
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very
yeah.
insightful
Yeah.
It is.
for sure.
So-
It's just a weird life being a musician. It's tough and it's hard, but it's fun and it's expressive and rewarding. But it's also like sometimes drives you nuts.
Yes, it does. Meetings are on Tuesdays, right?
If you could go back, would you do anything differently?
One thing I would do differently, there's that sort of, what do I want to say? I'm gonna try to make a big point, and I might lose my train of thought.
That's okay.
But it's kind of like, there's that kind of a sense of, you want to succeed at something, and you kind of see, okay, off in the distance, I want to accomplish this. And I think kind of like you have to, at the beginning of that stage, you kind of have to sort of, it's a really tricky thing to explain, but you kind of have to become that in a way.
Yeah.
Spiritually, it's not like, I think you look at life as like, okay, it's, me against this and me against this and me against turning these people on and me
Yeah.
against,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
kind of like, I think you kind of become that, whatever that is successful at this, and that people do respond to, and then they'll come to you, and that's really pretty cosmic. But like I know early on, like when I started to learn the business, I would have spent a lot less time worrying about the palace intrigue, and I'd have spent
Yeah.
more time just being good.
Yeah.
Just doing what you.
Yeah, like because then you get involved with the politics of why won't this person call me back, and why
Sure.
can't we
Oh,
get
yeah.
why can't we get this
Yeah.
opportunity, and why can't the bandmates
Yeah.
see
Like
this
the
the way
struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't my bandmates see this the way I see it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think really I would spend more time. I would spend more time just being better at my craft
Mm-hmm.
and relax,
Yeah.
And that
So
was
as opposed to rather trying to appease everyone, basically. Is,
not even more of
Or
a
just,
appease,
like,
like,
trying
oh,
too
this
hard.
guy's going to do this and this guy's going to
Oh.
do that.
Yeah.
It's not. That sounds paranoid, but it's not even that. It's just
It's okay.
It's just like I say, palace
Yeah.
intrigue. There's just a lot of politics and palace intrigue, and
Yeah.
being in a band, being a
Yeah.
musician, the music business. Is,
Yeah.
like what Hunter S. Thompson. It's a shallow money trench. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of. There was like I really feel like when the world turns around, finally, when you've been doing this for years, and the world turns around, you want to be already set up. You want to have your team together. You want to have your, like. I mean, I don't know if I'm explaining this.
Oh,
well.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like because they turn around, and then now that is not the time to learn how this works.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
then it's time to go.
Yeah,
it's time to go.
it's go time, and you got to be ready. And have
you
your
got to be
ducks in
ready.
a
You have
row.
all your music
Yep.
together. You're. I mean, you have.
Yeah.
If you need an attorney, you have an attorney that
Yeah.
you can use that you trust. You don't go looking for one then.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like all this stuff, and that's kind of what I'm saying about like you
Right.
become that person. Start doing what you think that person would do,
Yeah.
even though you're not that person.
Right, as though you were already arrived there.
Yeah, yeah.
Act
Yeah,
as if. Yeah.
And I said that's kind of cosmic,
Yeah.
and I don't usually talk like that, but that's
No.
what I.
I really love that approach and that attitude. It's very positive.
Yeah.
It's assuming the best
Yeah.
outcome instead of the worst.
Yeah.
I know a lot of times as musicians we get hung up on the really dumb things.
Sure.
You know, that one person that didn't get back to you and then you want to book there so bad, but you know, you're not hearing back from them, and then you start to feel like a failure and
Sure.
you know, all of these things. But really, you know, just keep practicing as get your band to sound good and take care of all of those details. And when that time comes,
Yeah.
you're ready for it
Sure.
then. You know?
And be fan centric.
Yeah.
You know, be concerned
Yep.
with your audience.
Yes.
Your fans, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You can still maintain all of that and be true to your own music and your own art,
Yep.
but also build fans around your art. I think without letting, because it felt like what you were, not that you alluded to this, but what I thought of when you were explaining that was, we're as musicians, we are the creatives. And most creatives, money is the last thing on their mind, but everyone else in the industry, they're looking for an algorithm for them to make money.
Sure.
So it's kind of like making those two things mesh together can be, a little wishy-washy sometimes, I think, So sticking true to what you do, but being prepared for everything that comes, but being true to yourself, kind of, it's like a package deal.
It's a package deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. I mean, there's just so many levels of it. A lifetime of doing it. You know what I mean? There's so many levels of, you want to give people. I mean, like I said, once again, if you put people in the seats, you get to keep playing.
Yep.
That's commerce. I mean, you got to do some. I mean, you can always play music at home, and for your friends, that you're not going to outgrow that ever.
Right.
You're going to do that until you take your last breath. Every musician. I've never met a musician that regretted being one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
I've never met one said, "Man, I wish I never learned how to play the guitar." So.
Right.
If you could change one thing, what would it be? You're like, I would have
wish
never started.
I wish I'd have never learned
Yeah.
how to do that.
Yeah.
No, musicians don't say that
No.
ever. But yeah. I mean, just this. Just kind of. It's just. I mean, you don't want to make it all about commerce, but it's.
Yeah.
I mean, your fans are the people that want what you're providing, and and at some point, there's also so many levels. It's like you want to do something that you're connected to, musically, which might not be what you were connected to 20 years ago, but their head is still back there. You know what I mean? So you got to think about that, but at the same time, you give them exactly what they think they want, and then they're bored.
Yeah.
Even though that's so it's
Yeah.
a journey.
Cool. You have anything
That's it.
else?
Well, I would have one final question. So, I mean, you've given a lot of insight into just the world of being a successful musician, and I think there's actually a lot of takeaways from it that
Sure.
people watching can
Yeah.
take. But I'm just curious for you, what is the most rewarding aspect of being a musician?
A successful musician.
A successful musician. What means the most
Sorry, I
to you?
didn't
What
mean
do
to
you
steal your
enjoy the
question.
most? No, it's okay.
I'm like, that's a horrible question.
What she means to say.
Yeah.
let me handle this.
Typical,
What you meant to
typical
say.
man. Yeah. For me, I mean, honestly, the answer to that is a friend of mine once said, it never gets any better than when you write the song.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've said it before, they haven't made an arena big enough to make me feel as good as I feel when I write a song.
Oh man, that's like the greatest thing I've
So
ever
like
heard.
just the that feeling you get like when the song's done and you're just like,
When you know it's
I wrote
good.
a song.
Yeah, right. I did
Yeah.
something, and it's like
Yep.
something from nothing.
Yep.
I mean, there's a certain amount of steps, to playing a show. The work's done by the time you step on a stage or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
And I mean, even John Lennon himself once said that, his favorite period of the Beatles was being in Hamburg, Germany, before He said, by the time Beatlemania hit, we were just repeating things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that was when we were creating it.
Yep.
You know, that was when it was actually being created from nothing.
Right.
You know, and I think for me, that's my, you know, writing songs is the best.
I
I
mean,
think him and I would both agree with that.
yeah, like I said, I
There's
have
nothing that
Yeah.
compares. to
Something
that.
from nothing.
I haven't been playing very long, but my whole life I've always been like a creative person, but I've always struggled to find that creative outlet that I've really connected with. And she can attest, like when I write a song, I'll like that I connect with. I'm like, wait to hear the song. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like
You
obsessed with it
become
right now, and I'm
obsessed.
like, I think I got this great thing,
Yeah.
and it's just I never thought that I could express myself through 12 freaking notes on a guitar like I do, and I love it. So I would agree completely.
Concur. Oh, awesome.
Awesome. Well, I think that's
Are we-
probably I think we covered a lot.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to let you kind of tell everyone if they want to find you, or if you want them to find you, or reach out to you, or questions, or
Yeah.
whatever. What's the best way? You know, anything that you want to say, Bret Alexander.
Yeah.
You know,
Simplest is just Google me. Bret Alexander, 1 T on Bret.
Oh yes.
And there's also a walleye fisherman named Bret Alexander. That's not me, but you'll see my stuff. Bret Alexander online is my website. You know, that's probably the best hub to see where I'm at and what I'm doing.
Awesome.
great, awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you so
Bret. It
much.
was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
great.
That was fun.
Really great interview.
Thank you. All right.
Cool.
That was good, huh?
That was real good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Best one yet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
You know, sometimes you get